The day after Jesus was crucified, the chief priests came to Pilate, saying, "Sir, we remember while he was still alive, how that deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' Therefore command that the tomb be made secure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say to the people, 'He has risen from the dead.' So the last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard. Go your way. Make it as secure as you know how." So they went and made the tomb secure, sealing the stone and setting the guard. Now after the Sabbath, as the 1st day of the week began to dawn, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat on it. His countenance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. And the guards shook for fear of him, and became like dead men. But the angel answered and said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and indeed he is going before you into Galilee. There you will see him. Behold, I have told you." So they went out quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, "Rejoice." So they came and held him by the feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brethren to go to Galilee, and there they will see me." Now while they were going, behold, some of the guard came into the city, and reported to the chief priests all the things that had happened. Now when they had assembled with the elders and consulted together, they gave a large sum of money to the soldiers, saying, "Tell them, his disciples came at night and stole him away while we slept. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will appease him and make you secure." So they took the money and did as they were instructed. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. My name's Arthur. Thank you for joining me as we share together from Matthew chapter 28, as we see what happened to the body of Jesus. The chief priests clearly understood that Jesus had said, "After 3 days I will rise." They understood his message, that he was going to come back from the dead. The idea of resurrection was part of Jewish expectation, especially among the Pharisees, although apparently not among the Sadducees. But they personally did not accept it. Nevertheless, they didn't want it to appear as if Jesus had risen by the disappearance of the body, and so they seek a guard to protect the body against theft. But of course, they could not protect the body against its resurrection, for the body was not there when the angel came and rolled back the stone. The purpose of the angel coming was not to release Jesus from the tomb, but rather to allow the soldiers and the women and anybody else who cared to look to see that the body was not there. The body had disappeared. And so the first people who turn up at the tomb were Mary with some of the other women, especially the other Mary, mother of some of the disciples. There had been an earthquake at the time of Jesus' death, and there was another earthquake, a great earthquake, at this time. As the angel came, the earth shook, and the earthquake rolled back the stone from the door, and the angel sat on the stone. So as Mary looked, she saw a person shining like lightning in the early morning light. His clothing was as white as snow. That's reminiscent of how Jesus appeared on the Mount of Transfiguration in glory, a glorious being. And this really frightened the guards. Where did this person come from? This was no ordinary person, and they took no action. They shook, and they became still and quiet. They were not going to take on this angel. But the angel was not concerned about them, except that they were witnesses of the fact that the tomb was empty, though they had guarded it. The angel was concerned about the women. These women were the first ones to be told, Jesus has risen. It's remarkable, to my mind, that everybody who came to believe in Jesus was told first that he had risen from the dead. And when they accepted the proposition, then they saw him. And so, I know whom you seek. You seek Jesus, who was crucified. He's not here. He is risen. Come, see the place where the Lord lay. The invitation is there today. You can go to Jerusalem and go to the tomb and see for yourself. It is empty. And having satisfied themselves that the body was gone, and they had seen the tomb opened, they had seen the guards there, so nobody had beaten them to the punch and taken the body. It was just gone. And then they were to go quickly to his disciples. So this was the message the angel passed on. Go and tell. And of course, that's the message that we have. In the end of the chapter, it says we are to go into all the world and teach. So they were to go and tell his disciples he's risen from the dead, and to tell them that they would see him in Galilee. There would not be opportunity for extended time with Jesus in Jerusalem, but there would be plenty of opportunity for extended time with Jesus in Galilee. And so they were to be free to return to Galilee, where he would see them. Having viewed the tomb, wondering about great joy, he's alive, they ran to bring his disciples word. And as they ran, as they accepted the message that was passed on to them, then they meet Jesus. And they are then able to tell his disciples when they get there that not only did the angel tell them, but they've actually seen Jesus for themselves. And this, of course, is the experience. When we believe and accept the message, then we begin to experience Jesus for ourselves. The message is repeated, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brethren to go to Galilee, and there they will see me. Meanwhile, the guards go and report all that had happened, that the tomb had been opened by the earthquake, that there'd been an angel sitting on the stone, that when they inspected the tomb, no doubt after the women had left and the angel had left, there was nothing inside the tomb. Well, except there was something inside the tomb. They would not have interfered with the cloth that had been wrapped around the body of Jesus, but that was in the tomb. So they have no hesitation telling the chief priests he has risen from the dead. They'd heard the testimony of the angel, they'd seen the evidence for themselves. And the chief priests and elders have no hesitation in accepting their testimony. They don't say, you're mad, go back and have another look. They meet together and discuss how they're going to handle this crisis, that Jesus has risen. All they can do is deny it. They pay the guards to lie about the matter and say the body was stolen by his disciples. But of course, the body was never found, and the report still goes around today. People who want an excuse find an excuse, and the most popular one is the body was just taken by somebody else. even today.